8 a.m. Time to start our TIRZ 1 meeting for June. We have a quorum. And item 2, do we have any public comments today?
No one signed up.
Okay. The minutes of previous meeting, do I have a motion to accept them? Motion to,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Orientation.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Today, we're going to be reviewing your annual orientation to provide a high-level overview of the zone and the board's responsibilities. Now, some background information. City Council Resolution 15-24 requires all city boards to receive an annual orientation, as well as to introduce the board members and review their responsibilities, including the zone's previous work and significant agreements. And this policy also requires a one-time open meetings training, and this is scheduled through the city secretary. Additionally, the state of Texas requires a conflict of interest disclosure training course, which is handled by the city attorney, and this occurs in September. Now, the TIRZ 1 board has a 9-member board, which includes 2 state appointees, 6 city appointees, and 1 Fort Bend County appointee. So Nick Donani is the new appointee from Fort Bend County. And in 2003, the rules and procedures were established to guide administrative and operational procedures. This document also establishes an October to September fiscal year, and it includes quarterly board meetings. It also dictates that the city will serve as investment officers on behalf of the zone, and it will abide by our investment policies. And finally, it outlines that the board will approve their annual budget in September by the 30th every year. Now here you'll see a map of the zone referred to as Town Square, and this map is current as of May 2024. Now, the zone was created in 1998 through Ordinance 1149, and this is a 63.4 acre zone with a 9-member board. And the zone was set to expire in December 2024, but the city was the only participant at that time, and the city agreed to contribute 100% of the increment generated by the property taxes above the base value. And the base value is $5,570,200, and it is the same for all of the participants. Now, the creation ordinance was amended in January 2000 by Ordinance 1229, and this reduced the acreage to 32 acres and extended the zone's expiration date to December 2025. In 2001, both Fort Bend County and LIB 2 agreed to participate in the zone at 100%. And through the participation agreement in the zone, they also have the same base value. And the participation agreement also gave the county the right to appoint 1 member to the board of directors. Now, the final project plan was approved in March 2002, and it outlines the town square plans for a mix of retail, office, hotel, restaurant, and public space, all in a neo-traditional urban style downtown development. And the zone is responsible for funding roughly 11.5 million of public infrastructure, and the zone was to reimburse the city for the funds that were made available to the developer by the city as originally intended in the 2001 development agreement. Now, in 2001, the development agreement pledged that 11.5 million of zone funds back to the city, and it also established some triggers for the city to reimburse the developer. And due to the zone exceeding the expectations, a second amendment was approved in 2005 that advanced that reimbursement schedule and dedicated additional funding for 400 spaces in the parking garage for the conference center. And for Town Square Plaza events, the board approved 2 separate contracts in 2010 to support the events in the plaza. And the first contract was with the Town Square POA, for which the zone had budgeted $312,000 last year. And the dollar amount is not set in the contract and is based on what the TIRZ elects to budget for it. Now, as a reminder, last year, the board approved an increase to the budget, which Reeves will go over in detail later on in this meeting. And as outlined in the contract, 30% of those funds can be used for administration. And in order for the POA to receive the payment, they need to submit their budget and present an update about previous and future events. And this typically occurs in June. So the other contract is with the city and the zone budget $70,000 annually. And similarly, the city will present an update about their previous and future events and their budget in order to receive that funding. And this occurs in September. Now, in 2003, the city and the zone approved a support services agreement. And this allows the city manager to make expenditures in the form of materials, facilities, and support personnel for the zone through the annual budget process. And the expenditures are capped at $25,000 and $10,443 was budgeted in FY 24. And support personnel and services includes the general administration, financial services, legal services, and administration of contracts and projects. And in regards to why the support services is higher in FY 24 compared to FY 23, the support services reimbursement line is based on a cost allocation plan. And in FY 23, $10,139 was budgeted. And that was reimbursed to other departments for their overhead services. Okay. Now, each year in September, the board approves the budget. And for FY 24, the revenues were estimated at 2.56 million and the expenditures were estimated at 2.54 million. And this would give us a balance of 145,000. And the revenues include property taxes and interest income, and that was 2.5 million and then 20,000 in interest income. And the expenditures were allocations to 4A for 2 million, allocations to 4B for 145,000, the POA contract of 312,000, the city contract for events at 70,000, support services at 10,000, insurance at 2,000, and $130 in contractual agreements. Contractual services. Okay, now next we'll go over the annual report. It is a requirement of Chapter 311 of the Texas Tax Code, and it displays all the revenues, expenditures, debt, captured values, and taxes collected. The board makes a recommendation to City Council for approval of the report in December, and upon their approval, copies of the report are sent to the State Comptroller and all the taxing entities in the zone. So this is Fort Bend County Drainage District, Fort Bend ISD, and LIB 2. And finally, the board meets on a quarterly basis, which is typically 8 a.m. on the first Friday of June, September, and December. And the March meeting was canceled. So the next meetings that we will have is in September to approve the budget, receive annual ethics training, and in December to recommend the annual report to City Council and receive a development agreement. Questions?
I have one question. The county has a representative. And county representative. Is the county representative?
Right here, Nick Kanani.
Oh, okay.
It's our new board member.
Okay,
Yes.
what was your name?
My name is Nick Ganani.
That's the reason I was asking you questions, but for so long, we did not have. I feel like representative, so, okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next item. You have to read it.
All right. Everyone heard this, good. I have a motion to accept.
So,
Okay, and the next item. That is. You elect the vice chairman.
Okay, so through the creation ordinance, the board is authorized to elect from their members a vice chairman and any other officers that the board sees fit, while the city council has a right to appoint the chairman. So the board last elected position 8 Representative Laura Richards as the vice chairman in June 2003. And city council appointed position 1 Representative Don Smithers as the chairman with the term ending December 31st, 2024. Now, the chairman's role is to preside over the meetings of the board, sign all the documents requiring execution on the board's behalf. And the vice chair is responsible for these duties in the chairman's absence. If there's no other questions, I'll turn it over to Mr. Smithers for nominations.
Do we have any nominations for vice chair?
Are you willing to continue to serve?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I would nominate Richard for that.
Any other nomination? Okay, all in favor of Laura Richard as the vice chair?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh. Very.
You're stuck.
Yes.
well done.
That's all right.
The next item is contracts and agreements.
You don't read the full, read the full council.
I'm sorry.
Read the full.
Consideration of an action on authorization of a contract by between reinvestment zone on the city of Sugar Land and Sugar Land Town Square property owners association. And the amount of $312,950 for fiscal year 2024. Bond events, annual payment and authorization for fiscal year 2025 recommended. And the amount of $344,245.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm Teresa Preza. I'm with Reeves Management Company. I am the event manager for Sugar Land Town Square. As you may know, just a short time after we last met in June, in August of last year, the entirety of the property management transitioned solely to Reeves Management Company. And with that comes a great team. So I would like to take the moment to kind of introduce a few of our team members that are here with us today. Jessica Baldwin, our marketing director, she's actually based out of Dallas, but she sent us a lot of text messages with heart emojis, wishing us best of luck. Miranda Cartwright, she's our general manager for the property as well. Myself, of course, then we have Pam Spencer, our events coordinator, who's in the back. Victoria Reed, our marketing manager. And then, of course, we have Matt Reagan, who's the head of experience for our company. He's actually going to take over the presentation right now and kind of give you a little bit of the vision of what we're thinking for this past year and future years. Matt?
Click.
Yes,
Oh.
click down.
I'm also going to bring my coffee. I'm still in the caffeination process. Where, up, down? All right, we got it. All right. So, hey, thank you so much. I think I know several of you, but some of you, first time getting a chance to meet. As Teresa said, we took over the project as the property managers last year in August, but Reeves has been a part of the retail repositioning of Sugar Land Town Square since 2019. I moved down here to be a part of this community, to be a part of this that transitioned in 2019. So we have been a big part of Town Square, and to be 100% honest, we take it as not just something we are deeply and meaningfully passionate about, but something that we take as a serious honor to get to be a part of this community and a part of its evolution. So, we're just going to I think it's kind of good. Let's start off kind of stepping back and looking at where we've come from And that help always is an important guide to where we're going. And for, 20 years ago, I mean, what a massive transition, right? What an enormous development. And this goal, creating this community, creating Town Square was super ambitious. And 20 years ago, that goal, you had kind of a pretty new community, and whoever you guys who had the vision for this had a sense like it's not, and the foresight to understand it's not enough to just create, if you're really trying to create a real sense of place, it's not just enough to have great schools, great houses, good roads. You need something, you need an epicenter, something that defines your community. And that was Sugarland Town Square. Create this iconic symbol, use that becomes the heart of Sugarland, how Sugarland defines itself, how people outside of Sugarland defines it, and then use that symbol to attract young, affluent families, top tier businesses, and top tier retailers. Now, mission accomplished. That has been so successful and so impressive. It's the only, still to this day, it's the only urban density, real authentic urban density in Fort Bend County. It's one of the most walkable districts in the entire city. Some of the best walking fabric in the entire city, 3.5 million people coming here a year, just fantastic stats, 560,000 square feet of Class A office, 240,000 square feet of retail, and far and away the most iconic symbol of Sugarland. It's how people outside of Sugarland define us. If you ask anybody outside of Sugarland, I say, I'm in Sugarland. They're like, oh, Sugarland Town Square, yeah. It defines us in a way for people both outside and both inside. It's a part of how we define ourselves. And that's powerful. That's really powerful. Over the next 20 years, we stand at an inflection point in our community. We stand at a crossroads. It's very different. It's a very different situation than it was 20 years ago, right? We're not this kind of up and coming. We're very established. It's a mature community. And we face some real headwinds. Our community is getting older. And these are things that, we've been in lots of conversations with the city about this. And this is something that we're all aware of and we're all working toward, right? Our community is getting older. And for the first time in its history, has the population started to shrink. We've lost 2 years consecutively. And all while we're facing some of the most intense and fierce competition for both retail and for office. Office and retail are going through a literal revolution. It is a paradigm shift in how people shop. It's a paradigm shift in how people office. And those are very important. But with those kind of headwinds come enormous opportunities, things that we think are very exciting. And it's a winner take all. The best places are going to get more valuable and to get better. And everything else is going to lose value. That's just how it's going to be, especially in office and in retail. And again, as Sugarland Town Square goes, so goes our community. This really attacking this is very, very important because it's, again, as we just said, you did such a wonderful job creating this iconic place that it is how we define ourselves, right? And being the heart of Sugarland, when we have the power to impact this place has a power to impact people who live here and people around the entire Houston area, to impact their opinion and their view of it. It has just this in a way that no park does, no other shopping district does, not even Smart Financial does. It has the power to impact people's perception of what Sugarland is and what it means. That event, so our event strategy, done very intentionally, very purposefully, and done at its apogee, can do two things. And this is always right? If our events need to be making it a great place to currently live and a great place to want to live. And so hopefully that's what we're going to, yep. So the project vision. Now projects alone, our events alone aren't going to do it, but events tied are going to do a lot, right? But events, intentional strategic events tied in with intentional focused leasing, tied in with intentional marketing can be combined, can be very, very powerful to moat. And this is always our goal. And Sugar Land Town Square, not every project has this ability. Not every shopping district has this ability. Not every place has this ability. But Town Square does, because it's our literal town square, right? Done well, we can legitimately, we can moat Sugar Land Town Square and specifically and Sugar Land broadly as there's Sugar Land Town Square, and there's everything everywhere else. And that's our goal. And our events are that kind of megaphone that we use to do that. It's a chance to draw people who already don't come down here or who come down here for different uses and just showcase we show them exactly what we want to show them, a reflection of who and how they want to live and where they want to work. But that bar is really high, right? Moating a town square, that bar is really high. There's a ton of competition now. There are some really wonderful developments doing some really exciting, new, interesting, cool things. Like, and those are they're both the projects that we're in competition with and the communities that we're in competition trying to draw those young, affluent families to come live in. And we can just name them, right? You can La Centera, Market Street, City Center. I don't have to even name where those are, right? They're that iconic. We know exactly, you say those names, you know exactly what communities they are. You have an image in it, you have a feeling about it. That all comes together. That's how the power that Sugar Land Town Square has, right? And so broadly, our vision is to raise the bar. We're just going to raise the bar. It's not a change of anything, but it's an evolution of our original mission. Raise the bar with top tier, beautiful, immersive, well-branded, and extremely highly well-executed events, which is what Teresa and team bring to this table. They just give us the power to deliver really beautiful, wonderful, fantastic events. And then our marketing team with Jessica and Victoria give us the power to yell that out to target it, whether it's specifically for our community, yell it out to the rest of the city to draw the kind of crowd that we're looking for. And most importantly, man, just super fun. Like the events just gotta be fun. You come down, you have a blast, you're laughing, you're smiling, that high energy, that feeling, that's infectious. And that just starts getting people excited about it. You can all of a sudden, you're just like, oh my God, honey, I love, how cute is this place? How cute is this event? This is so much fun. I'm having so much fun right now. And you're just like, I just look, and then, you know, I see my wife does this to me all the time, right? We'll go to something like this, and then I look around 30 minutes later, and she's on Zillow, and she's looking up house prices. She's like, I just want to look. I just want to know. And then she's searching. And then for the next 2 weeks, man, I'm getting blasts of little house. Like, look, I mean, it's just these are like really affordable, and like look at how good the schools are. Look at that's what this done really, really well. That's what these events can do for us. They can just get people down here, immerse them in our community, immerse them in how fun and wonderful it is to be a part of this place, and then get them on the hook. But in order to do that, our marketing reach has to go further. And that event has to be worthy of it, right? Worthy of blasting out to people. Not every event. Some events just need to be simple, fun. This is the note for every single event, but it is for some, and importantly some. But that marketing reach has to go further. When they get down here, we have to immerse them in exactly the kind of place that we want to. So that also requires a certain amount of work and a certain amount of funding to do. And then it's incumbent upon us, because you know the other half of this is money from the funding for this comes from our tenants. It's our tenants' money, and we're just stewards of that. So working in on some of these, at least, working in a way to help working our tenants in a way that's intuitive, that allows them to help promote or help them drive some commerce or brand recognition, you know, either present commerce or future commerce is also an important part. And strategy, you're going to kind of see some, and Teresa's going to go over these a little bit more in detail, just so we kind of get a real understanding. But you're going to kind of see this like big kind of megaphone, like these big festival events, like if you've been to Oktoberfest, or Kaleidoscope or Party Gras, or if you came to Bazaar, Food and Wine. These are like our big, we only do a few of these a year, but they're our big giant megaphone. We can just yell this out to all 7.1 million people who live in this, in the Houston area and say, get down here. And then we immerse them in this like gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful event that's really super special. And that, that's got both, we find enough strategic efficacy as a project that that our capital partners have donated, have designated a considerable amount of money to doing this, because we just think it's that important. I think it's that valuable. So you'll see a few of those a year. And then cultural events that allow us, so we're a super diverse community. And just continue to get more diverse. That's a wonderful thing, man. It's an exciting thing. But initially, it can be a little intimidating, right? If you haven't traveled the world, you haven't gone to all these different places, it'd be a little intimidating. This gives these events done really fun and in a way that's open and inviting. It gives us a chance to share who we are with our neighbors, and gives us a chance to go explore maybe something we're a little intimidated. Like, I don't know. Am I invited? It gives us done really well. These cultural events give us a chance to just invite each other and go in and learn about one another. And it makes living together more fun, more valuable. And it's super marketable to millennials, right? It's super, like, millennials want to see a community like that, want to be a part of a community like that. And then community events, they're just raising the bar with our community. It's events that are just, Fridays and Saturdays, but you come down and they're just like they're a little cute. There's extra activities added into them. They're just branded really well. You just, again, you're seeing, you come down and you start seeing your value set, who you are reflected in those events. And then again, as we said, just tying our tenants into it, giving them a good chance, being a good steward of their money and of what their investment is, and making sure that it also reaches some of their priorities. And then again, like, maximize every revenue source. We both for as good stewards of the investment that you guys have made, and the good stewards of the investment that our tenants are making, and good stewards of the investment that our capital partners are making. It's important to us to just maximize every revenue source we can get, as many sponsorships as we can draw in, as many, where and wins for some of those, especially some of those big festival events. You'll see us charging ticket prices for it. And we don't make any, we never have even come close to making our money back on these, but that's not the point. It's just to help offset some of the costs of doing these very elevated events. So, but in order to do that, if you're going to charge ticket price, man, it's got to be worth it. It's got to over deliver. You got to come down and be like, oh, it was a $10 ticket, and I feel like I got a $100 event. That was unbelievable, right? That's because then that's accomplishing the goals we just set outside. And then to draw in the sponsors, the event's got to be, the brands have to be able to see their brand reflected in that event. So it's got to, again, we've got to just be very aware. If we're going to get like Mercedes-Benz of Sugarland to put in $25,000 for an event, they've got to come in and see, they've got to see an event that's just like, yeah, this, you are reflecting Mercedes beautifully. Well done. Perfect. Where do I sign the check? Can't wait to sign a bigger one next year. That's the goal, right? Those are out there and those are available to us, but we just got to, again, we've got to raise the bar of the events to make sure we're delivering that level so those brands see themselves in it. I think. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Great presentation.
Whew. All right, I get the fun part. That was fun. All right. So everything Matt said is correct. Competition is fierce. We have developed, mission accomplished, and it's fine tuning and reimagining exactly how this event programming will continue to draw those individuals in a much more dense environment. So first thing is, at the foundation, we understood that although concerts and movies are great and necessary to continue the constant flow of energy into town square, we needed a much larger megaphone, like Matt mentioned, type of event that would showcase not only the property's vitality, but also the city's vibrancy. Okay. The immersive festival served both as a leasing strategy to communicate to potential tenants that the property owners are fully invested in the progress of Town Square. And they also serve to reach a much larger audience, specifically the western side of Houston, and drawing those individuals to Sugar Land. Again, it's that larger megaphone. I'm gonna pick this up. I'm scared I'm gonna trip over it. So. Just this past May, less than a month ago, we hosted the very first Bazaar Food and Wine Festival. This inaugural event was immersive. It was an immersive culinary and cocktail experience. Essentially, it was a love letter to our multicultural makeup, that of Sugar Land and Houston as well. There were 6 curated, very thoughtfully designed cultural neighborhoods featuring an all-star and delicious roster of chefs. As you can see here, we had, this was I think it was like 5 feet long tuna that was shaved and carved for you right on the spot and served. This is Pa Key from Eastside Kings, serving it to you as it was carved. It is not something that you can experience, you know, unless you probably go to the other side of the world, but essentially we brought that here. Guests enjoyed sipping, strolling, and discovering international bites and beverages, as they also discovered live performances that were specifically tailored to be meaningful to each of the neighborhoods. Our premium partner for the event was Momentum BMW. For Bazaar, there was a total of 1,200 attendees, which 750 ticketed guests, so they had 750 people paid to attend the event. Reports, we get a lot of our information through Placer AI, which is software that actually the city uses as well. So based on their data, which uses cell phone tracking information, average income for this attendee was 150,000, and they spent 2.5 hours on property enjoying Town Square. I actually would also like to note that Visit Sugar Land hosted a after party at Vino and Vinyl, which was also featured at the event. And based on just conversations that I've had with some of the Visit Sugar Land team members, Vino and Vinyl shared with them that Vino and Vinyl did 10% greater than any other Saturday that they've hosted. That's because people were trailing into their property post the event. The event received an estimated, this is very important, 15.7 million media impressions. Again, it is a very, very powerful megaphone. That number does not include the social media influencer count, and that we're still kind of processing and estimating. That's just solely media attention, Houston Chronicle, etc. As you can see from the demographic breakdown, we had a wide variety of individuals. No one specific ethnicity was more prominent than another. So it was a wide range of individuals. It was a success. Yes, I did. Blood, sweat, and tears, but it's very successful. Last October, we hosted our 3rd annual Oktoberfest, which featured Mercedes-Benz of Sugar Land, our local business, as our premier partner. The event featured a beer garden hosted by Flying Saucer, one of our tenants. They offered more than 50 beers on tap. And then we had live music, including polka dancers and yodelers, which is an experience in and of itself. Vintage market crafts, craft vintage market, traditional German bites, wiener dog races, which was a lot of fun and the cutest thing ever. Stein holding competition, barrel races, and so much more. Similar to Bazaar, we were able to reach a wider audience, attracting individuals from the Houston Metro. The heat map for this specific event, and I don't have a picture of that, there was a hotspot concentration of people coming in from Heights. So that's how far and how deep these megaphone types, large scale events are reaching out. We had 7,000 attendees, 6,500 ticketed guests per placer. 30% of the attendees reported to have a household income of greater than 150,000. People stayed for about an hour and a half. And again, the demographic and the ethnicity breakdown is very reflective of how wide range of individuals that we can attract. Those are the immersive festivals. As Matt mentioned earlier, and I said again, competition is fierce. And so we are no longer the only option for a free concert or a free movie. Okay, but we want to still draw in those individuals to our property, and we still want to showcase Sugar Land as a city as a whole. Which is why we are elevating and layering our programming into the event. We've started by creating new brand with movies on the square and movies and music on the square. Here's some imagery that you've seen. We've also implemented new guidelines by discouraging outside coolers for two reasons. One is because one of the things that we're doing is we're partnering with our tenants to be the alcohol provider or for sale provider at an event. And per TABC regulations, if there's a licensed premise, then you cannot bring in alcohol into an event. It's like you can't go into a bar with, you know, an open can. And also because we want people to shop and dine and eat and have a great time at our tenants, either post, during, or after the event itself. To elevate this series, we are again, like I said, layering the experience. For each event, we are carefully working with our selected retailers to create thematic food and beverage menus. This is an example of the Taylor Swift listening party on the left and on the right. Full disclosure, I am a Swiftie. This is why this is my preferred example of choice. But we partnered with State Fair, and they served Taylor's alleged favorite food, which is chicken fingers and French fries. So that was your to-go box meal on for that evening, as well as they had thematic alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages with lavender haze, which was Haitian, and red punch. Lavender haze and red being some of Taylor's songs and album names. Each event will not only feature the main performance, whether that's a movie or concert, but we will also layer the event through decor, photo ops, specifically curated vendors, and of course, thematic food and beverage. Here we have some Swifties. What's not pictured here is off to the side. We partnered with Curator & Co., who sells very girly and Taylor Swift merch. State Fair was here, partnered with Visit Sugarland. They did a bracelet gift exchange. If you guys know of Taylor Swift, that's a major part of her brand. I'm proud to say that these girls gave my daughter her very first, Taylor Swift. They were adorable and cute, and so love it. Specifically for Dancing Under the Stars, and it's not pictured here, but one of the things that we're trying to do, again, layering. In the past, Dancing Under the Stars with Fred Astaire has been just a PA system, an iPhone or iPod or some source, and dancing. But what we're doing now, as part of the evolution, is we're merging the concert with the dance. So if you come out to Dancing on the Square with Fred Astaire, kind of rings a little, you will now get 30 minutes of instructions with Fred Astaire. The music that you will be trained to or taught on is the part of the concert that you're going to hear that very same evening. So that way people are encouraged and provide a little bit more of a pizzazz to actually get up and dance during the concert itself. For example, tonight is disco night. Is that right, Pam? Disco night theme. So, if you gotta get those, joints back in motion, tonight's the time to come out to Town Square. So that's what we're doing with our elevated event series. As Matt mentioned, we are doing a lot more cultural events, both reflective of the community and to draw in new individuals. The very first lion dance, I believe it was the very first lion dance that we had here in Town Square. We've had it in a very long time. We held this past February. Were you out here, sir, for that? Mr. Smithers? No? Oh, it was held down City Walk. We gave away, again, part of the layering, Sweet Boutique's Dragon Cookies. Is the year of the dragon. I'm ashamed that I do not have a picture of that because they were so beautifully designed. They went out like hotcakes, no pun intended. We also had a very first Black History Month celebration where we partnered with the city's civic art program and Art Museum TX. We brought in the Fairy Tale Project to Town Square. This is a historic tale tailored for children. They depict a modern day African-American family reconnecting with their East Texas roots through extraordinary and very moving performances. I actually brought my 5-year-old out to this and she was completely captivated by the storytelling and the performances that were on. We actually shifted the scale and moved it over to the deck area. During the event, we also featured the artist Severo, who is Black and Hispanic, who painted a live mural during the event. And we also featured Pat Hogg from House of Blooms. She was our partner in gifting the performances their flowers, as is traditional with any major performance. Another cultural event not pictured on here, we're also hosting this month our very first Juneteenth celebration with jazz band, live mural paintings, and we're looking at partnering with Williams Smokehouse as our featured food and beverage partner for the event. Continuing with our culture event lineup, we held our second annual Dia de los Muertos celebration this past October. We had a total of 8,000 attendees, a lot. So you can see like we're kind of maxed at capacity here in this bottom left corner. We featured 4 different retailers, including Sweet Boutique. And as Matt mentioned, some of these cultural events give attendees the opportunity to learn and experience culture in a very safe space. But that also speaks to our tenants. One of the Sweet Boutique was one of our participating vendors for the event, and they were genuinely hesitant at the beginning and said, we don't know how people are going to respond to our, our decorated cookies. And they had they were trying new elements. They had a sweet, like half sandwich that was stamped with decorations. It was tremendously successful for them. They sold out with still an hour to go in the event. And they've come back saying, we're doubling up our orders. We want to participate in this again next year. Traditional mariachi, ballet folklorico, Aztec dancers, customary Hispanic cuisines, cultural art exhibits, children's activities, costume contests for adults, which I wish I could just have like the albums over and over, because the design and the intensity and intention that people put into their costumes was superb. We partnered with the Sugar Land Heritage Foundation. For this year, we are absolutely needing to expand the footprint of the event because we are definitely at capacity. And therefore, we need to add resources in order to expand it out onto the street, city walk, which means that we're going to have to account for fencing, barricading, additional security, etc., city permitting. It's just tremendously successful. And we want to continue that momentum. In addition to the large-scale festivals, cultural events, and the elevated event series, we also host a year-round programming of seasonal and holiday activations, from Valentine's Day to our second annual spring break, which drew in another 7,000 to 10,000 individuals from all over the outside of Sugar Land and in itself, to the Mother's Day market, which was a highly attended this year. I don't know if you guys recall, but last year we got rained out. It was like 3 days worth of like rain, and the weather gods were in our favor. Great weather. It was highly attended this past year. We're also hosting Father's Day Puppet on the Plaza night. More details to come on that soon. And then again, we host like later summer, which is our back to school programming. We're doing a movie night this year. Our goal with all of these seasonal and holiday events is to provide an experience unlike anywhere else. You will have a Father's Day event at City Center and some of the other locations that Matt mentioned. But our goal is to be so phenomenal that we're always the first choice for you to go to. Although not officially an event, I did want to note that as a further illustration of what we mean by when we're saying outlining and layering, our photo ops are just moments of experience. This is some of our office tenants who brought in their group to actually take pictures. So you can actually go inside of the Valentine's Day setup. You could sit inside of the photo op for Christmas, which we actually had 3 major displays for. You could stand underneath the design for the Narwhals, which is another cultural event that we've reflected on through our photo op opportunity. And these are just some of the ones that we've done. And we'll continue to do, because this is a type of caliber of quality that we want attendees to become accustomed to here in Town Square. For this year and next, we're also adding programming, what we're calling surprise and delight. Like, what does that mean? Well, here it's creating the feeling of discovery through performances at a much more intimate scale, whether that's a musician, a street performer, a dancer, or Santa roaming the plaza. So this is one of the city staff members' son. She saw Santa roaming the plaza. She called home and said, "Hey, get my son out here right now, like Santa's in the square." So her husband brought him over and like he got to meet Santa. This is surprise and delight. Where we are rewarding you for visiting Town Square, creating energy and excitement that's truly unexpected, giving you a sense that if you're really not in Town Square, you're missing out because we're the place to be. Really, really excited about doing some of this programming that's not just a concert or just a event. Those are just the program highlights. We still have a slew of other, the events that actually are successful and continue to make sense for the project. So from the car shows that bring in heads and beds, shopping and dining during the shows and post the shows, pictures with Santa programming, Christmas tree lighting, which we're getting a brand new tree this year. We're very excited about that. I see your smile. It's supposed to be more realistic. The decor will be a little bit different, but I don't think we've updated our tree. What I know to be for a fact, 15 years, but probably more. So we are really excited. And the tree will complement a lot of the other enhanced Christmas decoration that we're going to be doing during the holiday season as well throughout the property as a whole. Retailer showcase work, supporting Baker Street with their St. Patrick's Day celebration and continue to support Bar Louie with their Cinco de Mayo celebration. This makes sense, right? This is something that the community wants to participate in and our tenants have a natural affiliation with as well. Fitness Fridays, we're looking at jazzing that up a little bit. And then, of course, continuing to support our community organizations through infrastructure support. Sometimes it's hand-holding, sometimes it's consultation in of itself. An example of this would be the Light of Hope event that was held, I want to say the first Friday in April, with the Children's Fort Bend, Child Advocates of Fort Bend. It's an awareness component for them. It's to kick off the Child Abuse Awareness Month. And so this is something that we absorb into our costs to help them put on this event. Again, this past year, we also began to partner with strong community brands, like Matt mentioned. Part of the elevation and escalation of these events is so that these premium brands can also see themselves reflected of their quality in the programming that we do. So we partnered with Houston Methodist for the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Memorial Hermann for the Heart Health Month. We're calling these property takeovers. They expand beyond the event programming itself. They do support the event program overall, but they, as you can see, that's pole banners, monument signage, some elevator signage, and then when we have really great partners, like in this case, Memorial Hermann, they also bring in media to this event. This was their pitch to Fox 26. Fox 26, yes, we would love to come out to Town Square, do a live broadcast, interview your doctor, but also interview your tenant. This is Dina from Japaneros on the left, and this is a nutritionist from Memorial Hermann on the right. And they're being interviewed on Fox 26 in reference to Heart Health Month. This is when partnerships make sense. All right, so as you may recall, we budgeted a total of $730,000 for this year's programming, and we are in line with that figure. I think we're off by less than like about $600. We did want to note that the property owners do invest in the event programming as well, specifically in support of those large-scale megaphone events. And you can see that noted in the bottom left here on your screen at $500,000 for this year. We are looking at always continuing to increase our sponsorship income to help offset some of that cost. And then, so the plaza budget, the expenses does support some of that programming. You see that line item in the retailer showcase here through things like permitting, fencing, barricading, security, etc.
The limestone, is that a contribution?
Yes, from the property.
So I guess I'll ask this.
Yes, please.
But the TIRZ is going away at the end of next year. So what are your plans to replace that revenue source?
Turn your speaker.
I'm sorry. I just said the TIRZ is going away at the end of 25. It's half your budget, basically. What do you intend to do to replace that revenue source?
So we are still in communications and conversations with the city to see how we can continue some of that support, although the TIRZ is not necessarily the dedicated funding source any longer at the end of next year. We understand the value that these events bring, not just to the commercial side of the property, but to the city as a whole, like we've been mentioning. So we do feel that there is a purpose, intent, need for the city to still contribute some. To what scale, to what level, and to what extent of time, that's yet to be determined at the moment.
Does the city participate in the POA? Do they provide
No,
funding through, they don't?
I don't believe that. I believe that's 100% coming from the retailers from CAM. Yes, sir.
It's just the retailers.
Mhm.
So
Hotel doesn't participate.
it is the case that the city, I don't even know what the increment is, it's $1.5 million or whatever, it's gonna go back to the city, so I hope that they would consider contributing and participating, since it does directly benefit them.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Teresa,
Yes, sir.
the shuttle, is that to Smart Financial Center?
I'm happy you pointed that out, sir. Thank you. So we did not have a shuttle this year. This was an expense that's in our books for this year because we received the invoice really late and we couldn't journal entry it back. So this is just last year's expense that we had to pay for in this year. And a note on the shuttle, we have been working to try, last time we met, we talked about potentially working with Uber. That was a non-starter. They just could not accommodate the demand that we were trying to, that we were going to be generating from them. And there was no seamless way for us to be able to have that quality experience for somebody Ubering from here to Smart Financial Center or even Constellation Field. So we haven't given up on it. It's a very difficult program to lift, and it's actually a very costly program to lift. We do think that there is some need for connectivity between all of our major destinations, but I do think that it needs to expand just beyond town square in that conversation moving forward. Any other questions on the summary for this? I'm gonna go to the next one, but I can always come back. So looking forward into 24 and 25, this will be the last year, last full year of the TIRZ funding. There's the last quarter, October, last calendar quarter, October 1st through December 31st of 25, there'll be a small amount. But aside from that, we realize that this is our last full year. We are asking for a contribution from the POA for $344,000. We have increased our sponsorships because we are getting more aggressive, especially now that we're expanding just beyond a single event and more of the property takeovers. We are keeping our outside groups the same. We've seen a little, I don't know if it's the heat. People aren't just coming wanting to rent the plaza. I generally think it's just the heat that it's a little bit more of. And then also last year, our calendar is so full that, you know, most organizations are like, well, we want a Saturday. Well, I have a Saturday booked already. So we're keeping that constant, and we're going to see how that kind of flows for next year. And then we're asking the TIRZ to match the POA contribution like it's been doing this past 3 years. That gives us a total of $803,000. These are all the expenses. The event series has gone up and from prior years, and that's because of the elevation that we're trying to do. Landmark and makes everything else is pretty much in line. I do want to note in the admin license and data that 271 does include repurchasing the license to use Placer AI. That was a cost that was absorbed by the former property management company last year, but this year we're going to have to put it into this budget set because we're the ones who use this data. And that data we use to showcase the value of each and every single one of our events. Once we tell them exactly who's here, the demographics, the household income, how long people stay here and interact with their brand, that's when we're starting to see that ROI on those sponsorships. Yes, this makes sense. Okay. Here, we're increasing our sponsorships. I mentioned increasing the quality of our events, increasing the footprint of our Day of the Dead. I didn't mention this. We're in talks with Mahesh's Kitchen to actually host a Diwali celebration in partnership with them this year. We feel that's another cultural event that is very reflective of our community. We do understand that there could be a tremendous interest in that event from attendees, so we might be having to ticket it even at a nominal fee, just because it could really get big, which is a great problem. That is what we want. We want that from the get-go. We're also budgeting for the 4 years of Placer, and then we've added a Black History Month and the Juneteenth celebration as well. I will just briefly, just quickly kind of go through this. This is not events, this is specifically marketing, but this is what we, when we brand these, elevate them, layer them for the full experience. And then it's Victoria and Jessica's responsibility to present that out to not just Sugar Land, but beyond. We are using what we're calling the culture square feeling, and that is Sugar Land Town Square has achieved a unique phenomenon within the property that is within the bounds of the square, thoughtfully crafted experience, serve as a cultural hub for the diverse community it serves. When the property is activated by these fully culturally diverse guests, the energy of this place is amplified exponentially. It's a phenomenon that we can only be described as culturally squared. And that's the feeling that we are wanting to propel out to individuals. You may have seen some of our digital ads and our online imagery. Real fun to hear. So happy that worked. Our property signage. So some of the feedback that I've received along the lines for this property signage itself is this looks so chic. This looks so sophisticated, very cultured, very refined. And that's essentially what we want Sugar Land Town Square and the city as a whole to be known. You've seen some of our billboards. These are investments. This is not, TIRZ does not pay for any of this. This is a different budget that is supported through the property owner. And that's the end of my presentation. I believe, sir, it's now up for you for a vote.
Thank you for your presentation.
Of course.
Any questions?
I was wondering if somebody could comment on, it is, I was wondering if somebody could comment on the Department of Wonder space and what the Department of Wonder space, and it's so architecturally prominent in the square, and of course it's closed, so it's you sort of, I'm not putting you on the spot, but
No,
you know, if there's any information that could be said about, you know, how you're gonna transpose that.
100%. It's a,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great question. And an important one that we answer, just have, you know, full transparency on. You know, we took at that time when we were pursuing that, these guys, just the group behind Department of Wonder, they had an Academy Award, multiple Emmys. They're just like, I mean, just their pedigree was amazing.
Yeah.
But we knew it was an ambitious concept. We still think that that genre has real potential. But like with anything that ambitious and that new, you're always kind of chasing it, right? And it's a challenge to kind of find where your market is and your demographic. And those guys, you know, put everything into it, but it and huge success right away.
Absolutely.
But then it finding how they kept that repeat customer and that repeat customer, they just didn't really find how to do that and do that right, especially, you know, while we're still kind of emerging out of COVID. For us on the property side, it was an enormous success because it jump started like that whole side, that entire side of the square just got ravaged by COVID. I mean, just like everything was like almost every retailer, right, when we took over was that we're just chapter 11. And so, and we just didn't, it was really tough to take brands down there. And we didn't have a good story to tell. And so getting that early buy-in from Department of Wonder, it directly led to the Mahesh's Kitchen coming, Williams Smokehouse, Inspiration Stage, Art Museum TX, BB Italia, that's now just about to start construction on Buttermilk Baby at the entrance. So he's gonna have two concepts here. So it was a huge help in jump starting that side. But it ultimately failed. Now, the good thing is, the positive of it is we're just in a very different situation now because of all the momentum that we've got on that side. It's in high demand. And we're in conversations with an entertainment user that would take that entire block or that entire mid block. which we had always liked for that. And then we've got a couple different really high-end retailers that we're also pursuing. Those are the two areas that we're really focusing on. We've got really good F&B, and we've got, you know, a good mix of F&B. We also have and just to be honest, we've got a great national F&B brand that is wanting to pay out the nose for it. That's our, you know, not to say that we won't do that, but we just like the entertainment or the retail use. Because it's complementary to the rest of the square. And those are the two areas that we're really hyper focused on. And the good thing for us is right now, like I said, we've got the wind at our backs. Like people want to be down there. Instead of us trying to pursue these top tier brands, they're coming to us. So we're in a good position. I think we'll have that leased quickly. And leased in a way that's just gonna keep move it forward. But you're right, it is, it is our top priority, because it's just, it's the visual terminus of the whole entire project. It's like, it couldn't be more prominent. So it is a very top priority and an excellent question. I'm glad you got a chance to speak. Of course.
Any other questions?
You look like you're about to max that. You have one, good.
Not a question.
Okay.
Ready to make a motion.
I just have a question. Like, I love the vision and the passion and the elevation of the big events, but like that you're continuing to do small things like the peach truck, and the timeliness of the Taylor Swift listening party was really awesome. I do have a concern though on regarding the overall kind of consistent activation of the plaza on Friday and Saturday nights. And so I'm wondering, are you still in the process of actively adding events for Friday and Saturday nights? Because I know these major events are really, really important for the regional prestige of the development, for the attraction of new visitors, new businesses, new residents. But I don't want to lose the kind of sense of place, the sense of energy when a resident that lives here today and just loves their communities come to Jupiter to have some pizza on a Friday night and to have a sense of activity that goes beyond just the awesomeness of being able to let your kids run around the square. So I don't know if you can talk through kind of that aspect.
I think for us, and Matt, correct me here if I'm wrong, is we understand that to be true as well. We understand that at the very beginning, when all of this was originally proposed 20 years ago, it was designed, there wasn't anything happening, so a consistent Friday and Saturday night occurrence happening in Town Square was going to help draw in those individuals. And that was the original source of it, right? It's that always there was something happening within Town Square. We went back, and this was an intentional conversation that we had, is that really now necessary, knowing that on any given Friday, you could have a couple hundred individuals enjoying Jupiter's and having their kids play in the plaza with their own balls and trying to get them out of the fountain, whatever the situation might be, but enjoying the plaza as a community space that it is in and of itself without the additional need for programming. We also understand that as time has progressed, cost for events has gone up. And then also the layering of this events means that instead of spreading things out, we need to, widen them up. So we understand where it is that your question is originating from and the root source of it. I will say though, that our goal is to have something happening, whether it's consistent, a small event, a small, like a 4-piece band, something small and warm. That's the word I'm looking for. Something small and warm happening in the plaza. We've fixed our internet systems so that way we can get music back into the square in the evenings. Music is really what kind of makes this vibrancy happen. So there's a zero cost dollar to that. Or whether that is something like just a single DJ playing on the City Hall. Those are the things that we're looking at, especially on the weekends where we don't have something like a Father's Day or Mother's Day or a major event happening. We are still looking into that and looking at that for the rest of the year as well. So we're looking into it.
Yeah, I just kind of add on to what Teresa said, because it's an excellent and super important question when we we think about a lot. Because you're right, it's like, we need to consolidate a little bit to be able to make sure that we're elevating and using, every dollar strategically and intentionally. But we also got to make sure we don't cut our nose off to spite our face, to your exact point, that you're doing that, you do that too much, and now all of a sudden you got, this, these interstitial weekends that just feel dead. And that's to nobody, that's to nobody's benefit. And the nice thing, especially the more, the better we do with those events, the more demand from outside groups to fill some of those in.
Yes.
And like Teresa said, like, one of the problems we're running into is just that they want those Fridays and Saturdays, and we just don't have them open. Because that booking or that event programming is that kind of robust. So that's one area where we can fill in, and then these kind of like she was saying, these like a little bit more intimate, more like smaller events that are still super fun, super interesting, and super unique, but just aren't like at a scale that we've got. Like, those are going to be really important to fill in. So it's just keeping that plaza. And we're like, I mean, just the more events, the more we're involved with it, the more aware, just like how deep that is. Like, it's a deep, and if you don't have it activated, it really can feel kind of like a almost like a chasm. Like, it's just kind of dead zone. And that's like, that's top of mind for us as well. I mean, it's a great question.
So to that, I would say that if there are community organizations that want to come out and perform, whether it's a spring recital, or it's something like the Child Advocate Support Band, like, we'll help you produce that. It's where that it's not necessarily expanding our resources so much, but it still gives you that warm sense of community that it is that you're referring to.
Thank you. I just, as Jared mentioned, as the TIRZ approaches dissolution, I just think it'll be really important for some robust strategy conversations with the city around kind of the goals of events and kind of that balance of activation and regional, if there's going to be additional city support considered beyond the likelihood.
Of course, and I hope, I hope throughout today and through, we've had the pleasure of getting to work with you quite a bit, that for us, and this is very, very important for any project that we will ever get involved with, but especially here because it's the town square. We will only Reeby's will only work on projects where our capital partners, it's a long-term, it's a generational play. Because everything we're doing, it's about adding real long-term value. It's not just trying to juice the project up to go, and then go sell it for, 50 bps off of your cap rate. It's not that kind of play. For us, it's this long-term. We want to be a part of this. Our capital partners and us want to be a part of this for a generation. And so making sure that our events are a massive win for the city, for our community, for everybody sitting at this table, and also as well as for the capital partners and our tenants, it's an imperative. So we're very excited about that opportunity to just make sure we're hitting all of your priorities.
Mr. Chair, are you ready for
I am. Any other comments, questions? Thank you for the presentation.
Well, I would also like to thank Teresa and the team for an excellent presentation. And it's interesting as we're approaching wrapping up our business next year. I think back to what our objectives were when we started this off. Don, I think you can also support the idea that this is exactly what we had in mind.
We traveled around to all other places.
This is exactly what we had in mind. And with that, I would like to make a motion authorizing contract between the reinvestment zone #1, City of Sugar Land, and Sugar Land Town Square Property Owners Association in the amount of $312,950 for fiscal year 2024 Plaza Events annual payment, and authorization of the fiscal year 2025 recommended events in the amount of $344,245.
Do I have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor? Yes. Aye. Any opposed? So be it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You need a motion to adjourn, and I'm happy to make it.
I'm thinking of buying it. Thank you. Thank you.